They say love makes you blind, but betrayal gives you perfect vision. I used to think our love story was one for the books, the kind that made people believe in fairy tales. Looking back now, I realize it was just the perfect lie, wrapped in 3 years of false smiles and stolen kisses. My name is Jason Mitchell, and I was the guy nobody expected to end up with the girl everyone wanted. Back in college, I was that introverted data analyst who lived in the library, buried so deep in code and textbooks that sunlight felt foreign on my skin. Chloe Hart was my complete opposite, magnetic in a way that drew people like moths to flame. She was the girl who could walk into any room and instantly become its center, effortlessly popular, with a laugh that could make you forget your own name. When she approached me that Tuesday night during finals week, asking for help with statistics, I thought it was some elaborate prank. Girls like Chloe didn't notice guys like me, but she sat down next to me in that cramped study room, her perfume cutting through the stale air of coffee and stress, and something shifted in my world. "I heard you're the guy who can make numbers make sense," she said, sliding her textbook toward me. Her fingers brushed mine, and I felt electricity shoot up my arm. It wasn't a prank. Over the next few weeks, we bonded over late-night coffee runs and her genuine curiosity about my world of algorithms and data patterns. She made me feel seen, really seen, for the first time in my life. And somehow, I made her feel grounded in a way her chaotic social life never could. We married exactly 1 year after graduation. I remember standing at the altar watching her walk down the aisle in that simple white dress, thinking I was the luckiest man alive. My tech job was already paying well enough to put a down payment on a modest 3-bedroom house in the suburbs. Nothing fancy, but it was ours. Well, mine technically. My name on the deed, my savings account emptied into our future, but it felt like ours. 6 months after the wedding, Chloe quit her administrative job. "I want to focus on making our house a home," she said, curled up against me on our new couch. "You sure about this?" I asked. "We could always use the extra income." "You make enough for both of us," she replied, "and I want to be here for you when you come home." I didn't question it. The idea of coming home to her every day, of her having dinner ready and stories about her day, felt like everything I'd ever wanted. For 3 years, life was simple. Perfect, even. Sunday morning pancakes became our tradition. Her in my old college t-shirt, dancing around the kitchen while bacon sizzled in the pan. Her laugh echoing through the rooms I'd bought with dreams of our future. We had this honeymoon glow that everyone said would fade, but never quite did. Until it did. 2 months ago, everything changed. It started with something small, our nightly 9 p.m. walks. For 3 years, rain or shine, we'd walk the neighborhood together, holding hands, talking about everything and nothing. It was sacred to us, that hour when the world belonged to just us two. Then one evening, when I laced up my sneakers and called for her, she waved me off from the couch. "I'm tired tonight, babe," she said. "You go ahead." The next night, same thing. "Headache," she replied when I asked if she was coming. "Maybe tomorrow." Then it was different excuses each time. "I'm just not feeling it," she said one night. "You don't mind going alone, do you?" she asked another evening, not even looking up from her phone. The warmth in her eyes, the warmth that used to light up when she saw me, began to dim. Our conversations became transactional. "Did you pay the electric bill?" she'd ask. "Can you pick up milk on your way home?" she'd say without a greeting. "I'm going to bed early," she'd announce, disappearing upstairs before I could respond. When I reached for her at night, she'd pull away with excuses that piled up like unread emails, headaches, exhaustion, stress about this or that. I told myself it was normal. Marriage wasn't supposed to be a constant honeymoon. Maybe she was depressed. Maybe I was working too much, not paying enough attention to her needs. I tried everything: flowers from the grocery store, surprise date nights, thoughtful gestures that used to make her light up. Nothing changed. If anything, the distance grew wider. Then came that Thursday evening that changed everything. I was in the kitchen, reheating leftover Chinese takeout, when Chloe's phone lit up on the counter. She was in the bathroom, and the notification sound cut through the quiet house like a knife. Without thinking, I glanced at the screen. A text from an unknown number. "Last night was amazing." Can't wait to do it again. My stomach dropped so fast I thought I might be sick. My hands went cold, trembling as I reached for the phone. But before I could touch it, Chloe appeared in the kitchen doorway, moving faster than I'd ever seen her move, snatching the phone off the counter like it was on fire. "That's mine," she said, her voice sharp enough to cut glass. "Who was that?" I asked, the words coming out strangled, barely recognizable as my own voice. "Just a friend," she replied quickly. "Girl drama stuff? You wouldn't understand." She clutched the phone to her chest like a shield and disappeared upstairs without another word. I stood alone in that kitchen, under the humming fluorescent light that suddenly felt too bright, and felt the foundation of my world begin to crack. The microwave beeped insistently, but I couldn't move. All I could think about was that message. "Last night was amazing. Can't wait to do it again. What happened last night?" While I was working late debugging code until midnight, what was Chloe doing? Who was she with? And why did she look so guilty, so panicked when I asked about it? That night, I lay in bed beside my wife, listening to her breathe in the darkness, and realized I no longer knew the woman sleeping next to me. Her breath was steady, peaceful, while my mind raced with questions I was terrified to ask and scenarios I was afraid to imagine. Tomorrow, I decided, staring at the ceiling until dawn broke through our bedroom curtains, I would find out who she really was. I couldn't live in this uncertainty anymore. I needed to know the truth, even if it destroyed everything I thought I knew about my life. The perfect lie was beginning to unravel, and I was the one holding the thread. Sleep became impossible. Food tasted like cardboard. I sat at my desk at work, staring at lines of code that might as well have been hieroglyphics, while that text message played on repeat in my mind like a broken record. Last night was amazing. Can't wait to do it again. I couldn't just ask her about it. If I was wrong, if there was some innocent explanation I couldn't see, I'd destroy our marriage with accusations and paranoia. But if I was right, and I confronted her without proof, she'd delete everything and twist reality until I questioned my own sanity. I'd seen Chloe talk her way out of parking tickets and late fees with the skill of a seasoned politician. She could gaslight me into believing the sky was green if she wanted to. I needed proof. Real, undeniable, court-worthy proof. The opportunity came 4 days later. Chloe announced she was taking a shower, tossing her phone casually onto our bed before closing the bathroom door. For a moment, I just stared at it lying there, unlocked, like a loaded gun. The sound of running water gave me courage. My hands shook as I picked up her phone, half expecting it to burn my fingers. I opened her messages, scrolling through the usual suspects. Grocery lists, texts with her mother, group chats with college friends I vaguely remembered. Everything looked normal, mundane, innocent. Then I saw it. Emily C.I. didn't know any Emily. We'd been together for 4 years, married for 3. I knew all her friends, all her family. There was no Emily in our life. I opened the thread with my heart hammering against my ribs. Most of the messages were gone, deleted, but a few remained. Like breadcrumbs leading to a truth I wasn't sure I wanted to find. Emily C. "Miss you already?" Chloe. "Miss you too. Jason's at work. Come over tomorrow." Emily C. "I'll bring the wine." "And something else you like." My vision blurred. The phone felt like it was burning in my hands. I scrolled frantically, but there was nothing else. She'd been deleting as she went. Smart. Careful. Calculated. The shower was still running, steam creeping under the bathroom door. I had maybe 3 minutes before she came out. In a moment of desperate clarity, I searched for a phone mirroring app, found one with good reviews for discreet monitoring, and installed it on her phone in under 2 minutes. Now everything she did, every text, every call, every deleted message, would sync to my phone in real time. I placed her phone back exactly where she'd left it, down to the precise angle. Chloe emerged from the bathroom wrapped in a towel, her hair damp and curling around her shoulders. She smiled at me, that same smile that used to make my day, and I felt sick. "Hey, you," she said, walking toward me. "Miss me?" "Always," I replied, forcing my lips into something resembling a smile. Over the next week, I became a ghost at my own job. I sat at my desk with two phones now, my regular one, and the burner I'd bought to mirror Chloe's activity. My colleagues asked if I was feeling okay. Yeah, just tired, I would answer, working on a tough project. They'd nod and leave me alone while I went back to watching my marriage disintegrate in real time. Emily C. was Derek Lang, 32 years old, personal trainer at CrossFit Revolution across town. Chloe had saved his contact under a woman's name to throw me off if I ever saw it. The deception was so calculated, so deliberate, that it took my breath away. The messages between them made my blood run cold. Photos I will never be able to unsee. Plans to meet while I was at work. Explicit conversations about what they wanted to do to each other. But it was one particular exchange that broke something fundamental inside me. Derek: when are you leaving him? Chloe: soon. I'll file for divorce, get half of everything. The house, his savings, all of it. Then we can be together for real. Derek: smart girl. Take him for all he's worth. He won't see it coming. Chloe: he's completely clueless. Always has been. This is going to be so easy, it's almost sad. I screenshotted everything, every message, every photo, every plan to financially and emotionally destroy me. I uploaded it all to an encrypted cloud backup with multiple access points. 3 copies spread across different servers. Impossible to delete, impossible to deny. I didn't cry. I didn't rage. I didn't throw my computer across the room or punch a wall. Instead, I went cold, the kind of cold that comes from the center of your bones and spreads outward until you can't feel anything at all. Chloe wasn't just cheating. She was planning. Strategizing my destruction while sleeping in my bed, eating food I paid for, living in a house I bought with my own sweat and savings. She was playing the long game, and I was supposed to be the mark who never saw it coming. That evening, I started researching divorce law in our state. I learned about adultery clauses, marital property division, evidence admissibility. I discovered that proven adultery could nullify a spouse's claim to marital assets, especially when the betrayed spouse could demonstrate financial planning to defraud them. But screenshots weren't enough. Text messages could be faked, photos could be doctored. I needed them caught in the act, on video, with witnesses who could testify in court. I needed to set a trap. The mirrored messages showed a pattern. Derek came to my house during my nightly 9 p.m. walks, the walks Chloe had suddenly stopped joining 2 months ago. While I was trudging through the neighborhood alone, thinking she was home resting, she was entertaining her lover in our bedroom. The betrayal was so complete, so perfectly orchestrated, that I almost admired the planning. Almost. My phone buzzed with a new notification from the mirroring app. A message from Chloe to Derek. Tomorrow night, 9 p.m. sharp. He always takes his walk then. We'll have the house to ourselves. I stared at the message for a long time, feeling something shift inside me, something cold and determined and dangerous. Then I started making phone calls. Tomorrow night, everything was going to change. I didn't sleep that night. I lay beside Chloe, watching the ceiling fan spin lazy circles in the darkness, running through every detail of my plan. One mistake and it all fell apart. One miscalculation, and she'd walk away with half of everything I'd built. I couldn't let that happen. The next morning, I reached out to Mark Reeves and Tom Brennan, neighbors from 2 houses down. Both former Marines, both men I'd helped over the years with computer problems and tax software. Good men, loyal men. Men who understood honor and what happened when it was betrayed. We met in Mark's garage over coffee that tasted like motor oil. I need your help tonight, I said, my voice steadier than I felt. What kind of help? Mark asked, setting down his mug. I can't tell you everything yet, but I need you ready at 9:15 p.m., I continued. Bring your phone, make sure it's charged. Be ready to record whatever happens, and be ready for things to get ugly. Mark and Tom exchanged glances. They'd known me for 3 years. Quiet Jason who helped them set up their Wi-Fi and never asked for anything in return. They'd never seen this look in my eyes. Hollow, determined, dangerous. What kind of ugly? Tom asked. The kind where a man finds out his wife isn't who he thought she was, I answered. Mark set down his coffee cup. We're in, he said simply. Whatever you need. No questions asked, Tom added. Just tell us when and where. I spent that day at work in a daze, jumping every time my phone buzzed with updates from the mirroring app. Colleagues kept asking if I was okay. "You look like hell, Jason," my supervisor said during our morning meeting. "Maybe you should take a sick day." "I'm fine," I replied. "Just tired." "I'll be better tomorrow." But I wouldn't be looking at my computer screen while my life imploded in real time. Chloe to Derek. "Tonight's the night. 9 p.m. sharp. Wear something easy to take off." Derek to Chloe. "Can't wait. Been thinking about you all day." Chloe to Derek. "Same. God, I can't wait to be done with this charade. Just a few more weeks and we'll have his money and be free." Each message was another nail in the coffin of my marriage. I saved every word. At 8:45 p.m., I came home to find Chloe on the couch, scrolling through her phone with a barely contained excitement that made my stomach turn. She was wearing a black dress I'd bought her for our anniversary, and her makeup was perfect despite supposedly having no plans. "I'm going for my walk," I announced, keeping my voice casual. "Okay," she replied without looking up. "Have fun. Want to come with me?" I asked. "Like old times." For just a moment, her mask slipped. I saw impatience flash across her face before she recovered. "I'm tired," she answered. "You go ahead. I'll be back in 40 minutes or so," I said, grabbing my jacket. "Take your time," she replied, and there was something in her voice. Eagerness, relief, anticipation. She wanted me gone. I walked out the front door, but I didn't go far. I circled around through the neighbor's backyard and positioned myself behind the hedge that separated our properties, phone in hand, watching the live feed from Chloe's device. 52 p.m., Chloe to Derek. "Coast is clear." "Come now." p.m. Derek's location showed him 5 minutes away. I texted Mark and Tom. "It's happening." "Get here now." Back entrance. "Stay quiet." 8:59 p.m. A black Audi pulled up 3 houses down. Derek stepped out, looked both ways like the criminal he was, then walked casually toward my house. He was wearing a tight black t-shirt that showed off the muscles Chloe apparently found irresistible. He didn't knock. Just walked in through the front door she'd left unlocked for him. My jaw clenched so hard I thought my teeth might crack. Mark and Tom materialized beside me like shadows. "That him?" Mark whispered. "Yeah," I confirmed. "What's the play?" Tom asked quietly. "We go in," I answered. "You record everything." "We catch them in the act. Then we end this." "What about the cops?" Mark asked. "It's my house. My bedroom," I replied. "I have every right to be there." "And I have every right to remove an intruder." Tom grinned darkly. "I like the way you think." We moved toward the house in perfect silence. My heart was pounding, but my hands were steady. I'd rehearsed this moment in my head 1,000 times over the past week. We reached the front door. I could hear music from upstairs, a playlist I recognized. The same one Chloe used to play when we made love, back when that meant something. My blood turned to ice. Tom pulled out his phone and started recording. Mark nodded. I took a deep breath that felt like swallowing glass. I opened the door to my own house. The stairs creaked under our weight as we climbed toward the bedroom where my wife was destroying our marriage. Each step felt like walking toward an execution. Mine or theirs, I wasn't sure which. We reached the bedroom door. Inside, I could hear laughter, her laughter. The one that used to be only for me, now being shared with a stranger in my bed. I looked at Mark and Tom. They were ready. "Phones out, recording everything. Ready?" I whispered. They both nodded. I raised my foot, aimed it at the door, and everything I'd ever known about my life was about to shatter into a million pieces. My foot connected with the bedroom door and it exploded inward, slamming against the wall with a sound like thunder. The door handle left a crater in the drywall I'd painted myself 3 years ago. Chloe and Derek were in my bed. The bed I'd assembled with my own hands. The mattress I'd saved for months to buy. Naked, tangled in sheets that still smelled like the fabric softener she always used. They froze like deer in headlights, eyes wide, mouths hanging open in perfect synchronization of shock and terror. "What the hell?" Derek scrambled backward against the headboard, trying to cover himself with a pillow that had my initials embroidered on it. A wedding gift from Chloe's mother. "Jason?" Chloe screamed, high and sharp. "What are you doing home?" I stepped into the room, flanked by Mark and Tom like some kind of avenging army. My voice came out unnaturally calm, almost conversational. "Tom, you getting this?" I asked. "Every second crystal clear," Tom replied, holding up his phone with the red recording light blinking like an angry eye. "Good," I said. "Make sure you get their faces. Clear shots. I want no doubt who these people are when this goes to court." Derek tried to stand, reaching for his jeans crumpled on the floor beside my dresser. Mark stepped forward and shoved him back onto the bed with the casual efficiency of a man who'd seen combat. "Stay down." "Pretty boy," Mark commanded. "Jason, wait, man. I didn't know she was married." Derek's voice cracked like a teenager's. "Liar," I replied, the word coming out flat, emotionless. "I read your texts. All of them. You knew exactly what you were doing. You called me clueless. You planned to help her take my money. Jason, please, this isn't what it looks like." Chloe clutched the sheet to her chest, mascara already streaming down her cheeks in black rivers. "Shut up," I said, my voice cutting through her pleading like a blade through tissue. "You don't get to talk. You lost that right 2 months ago when you started having intimacy with him in our bed." I grabbed Derek by the arm and yanked him off the mattress. He stumbled, naked and pathetic, trying to maintain some dignity he'd forfeited the moment he walked into my house. "Jason, please, I'm sorry, we can work this out," Derek pleaded. My fist drove into his jaw. The sound was wet and brutal, like breaking a chicken bone. Derek crashed against the dresser, knocking over picture frames. Our wedding photos shattered on the hardwood floor I'd refinished myself, glass fragments mixing with drops of his blood. Mark moved in next, driving a knee into Derek's ribs. The air rushed out of him in a whoosh. He doubled over, gasping, trying to curl into himself for protection. Tom's boot caught him in the groin. Derek collapsed, whimpering, hands cupping himself as he writhed on the floor. "Jason, stop! You're going to kill him!" Chloe was hysterical now, sobbing so hard she could barely speak. I ignored her completely. I grabbed Derek's left leg and twisted hard. There was a sickening pop. Not quite a break, but close enough. Derek's scream was high-pitched and raw, the sound of a man who'd never experienced real violence before tonight. "Get out of my house," I said quietly. Derek tried to stand and couldn't. His leg wouldn't support his weight, so he crawled, naked, bleeding, dragging his injured leg behind him, across the bedroom floor toward the hallway. He left a smear of blood on the wood, and I found myself oddly satisfied by the stain. Mark and Tom followed him down the stairs, making sure he didn't stop or try to hide anywhere. I heard the front door open, heard Derek's pathetic sobs as he dragged himself across the lawn to his car. The Audi's engine started, and Derek drove away naked and broken, hunched over the steering wheel like a wounded animal, disappearing into the night and out of our lives forever. I turned back to Chloe. She was sitting on the edge of the bed, sheet wrapped around her like armor, shaking so hard the whole mattress vibrated. "Jason, please! Listen to me, it was a mistake. I love you. I've always loved you," she sobbed. "Get dressed," I commanded. "You have 5 minutes. Where am I supposed to go?" she cried. "Not my problem," I answered, each word coming out like a separate sentence. "I'm filing for divorce Monday morning. I have every text, every photo, every plan you made to rob me blind. And now I have video evidence of adultery with witnesses. You're going to get nothing." "Jason, this is my home too," she protested. "No," I replied, stepping closer. She actually flinched away from me. "This is my house. My name on the deed. My money in the down payment. My credit that got us the mortgage. You contributed nothing. You are nothing. Now get dressed and get out before I call the police and have you arrested for trespassing." Her hands shook as she pulled on clothes. The black dress she'd worn to seduce another man. The underwear that had been on my bedroom floor. No makeup bag, no overnight case, no phone charger. Just the clothes on her back. When she was dressed, I walked her down the stairs, across the living room we'd decorated together, to the front door I'd painted last spring. I opened it. The night air rushed in, cold and unforgiving. "Jason, please, where am I supposed to go?" she pleaded. "I don't have anywhere. I don't have any money." "You should have thought of that before you f***ed Derek in my bed," I replied, holding the door wider. Go to your parents. Go to Derek. Go to hell. I genuinely don't care. Chloe stepped outside onto the porch, tears streaming down her face. Looking smaller and more pathetic than I'd ever seen her. You're going to regret this, she said. The only thing I regret, I replied, looking her straight in the eyes, is not seeing who you really were 3 years ago. I slammed the door. The deadbolt clicked home with a sound like finality. Mark and Tom were waiting in the living room, silent, giving me space to process what had just happened. You good? Mark asked after a long moment. I exhaled slowly, feeling something loosen in my chest. Yeah, I'm good. Video's crystal clear, Tom said, holding up his phone. Send this to your lawyer first thing Monday. I will, I replied, sinking onto the couch, my couch, in my house. For the first time in 2 months, I felt like I could actually breathe. You did the right thing, Mark said, clapping me on the shoulder. If you need anything at all, you call us. I know, I answered. Thank you. Both of you. They left quietly, closing the door behind them with the gentleness of pallbearers. I sat alone in my house, truly my house now, and felt something like peace beginning to settle over me. It wasn't happiness, not yet, but it was the absence of the crushing weight I'd been carrying for months. My phone buzzed. A text from Margaret Sinclair, the divorce attorney I'd contacted yesterday. Can you come in first thing Monday morning? Based on what you described, we can expedite this. She won't know what hit her. I smiled for the first time in weeks. No, she wouldn't. Monday morning found me sitting across from Margaret Sinclair in her downtown office, a folder thick with evidence spread across her mahogany desk. Margaret was known as the most ruthless divorce attorney in the state, a woman who could smell weakness and exploitation from 3 counties away. I'd brought everything, the screenshots, the mirrored messages going back weeks, the video Tom had recorded, timestamps, GPS data from Chloe's phone showing she'd been home with Derek multiple times when she told me she was shopping or visiting friends. Margaret watched the bedroom video once, her expression never changing from professional neutrality. When it ended, she set down her tablet and looked at me with something that might have been approval. Mr. Mitchell, this is the most airtight adultery case I've seen in 15 years of practice, she said. Your wife has absolutely no defense. None whatsoever. What do I keep? I asked. Everything, she replied without hesitation. The house is solely in your name, purchased before marriage with your individual income. Her voluntary unemployment means she contributed no financial support to marital assets. These text messages prove premeditation. She was actively planning to defraud you in divorce proceedings. In this state, proven adultery combined with evidence of financial plotting completely nullifies spousal support and asset division claims. I felt a weight I'd been carrying for months finally lift from my shoulders. So she gets nothing meaningful, Margaret answered. I'll ask the judge for a token settlement, maybe a few $100s to avoid frivolous appeal complications. But that's it. You keep the house, your savings accounts, your retirement funds, your car. Everything. How long will this take? I asked. I'll file today, she replied. With evidence this compelling, we can fast-track the proceedings. 60 days maximum, possibly less if she doesn't contest. I signed the papers with a hand steadier than it had been in weeks. Margaret assured me she'd have Chloe served by end of business that day. That evening, Mark knocked on my door with news that Derek Lang's black Audi had been seen speeding out of town the same night of our confrontation, packed to the roof with everything he owned. Apparently, Tom and I paid him a visit at his apartment the next morning, Mark said casually. What kind of visit? I asked. The kind where we explained the consequences of staying in town, Tom replied when he joined us. His social media went dark immediately. Gym membership canceled. Apartment vacated within 48 hours. Derek Lang simply ceased to exist in our town, as if he'd never been there at all. Word spread through the neighborhood, through the gym where Derek had worked, through the social circles where people knew both Chloe and me. Don't mess with Jason Mitchell's friends. Don't mess with Jason Mitchell. The message was clear and it was final. Meanwhile, Chloe was served divorce papers at her parents' house. Brian and Susan Hart, A conservative couple who'd raised their daughter with traditional values and who had always treated me like the son they'd never had. Brian read the petition, his face darkening with each line of legal text. "Adultery?" he said. "Evidence attached?" "Dad, it's complicated. Jason and I had a big fight. He's overreacting to something that got blown out of proportion." Chloe tried her usual deflection tactics. Brian opened the evidence envelope with trembling hands. His face went white as he flipped through screenshot after screenshot, video stills, text message exchanges planning my financial destruction. Susan looked over his shoulder, gasped, and turned away. "You told us Jason kicked you out over a disagreement about money," Brian said, his voice dangerously quiet. "You've been here 3 days crying, playing the victim, making us think that boy lost his mind. And this whole time you were cheating on him? In his house? In his bed? Planning to rob him blind?" "Dad, please, it's not that simple," Chloe protested. "Get out," Brian said. "What?" She replied, shocked. "Get out," he repeated, his voice cracking like a whip. "You lied to us. You humiliated your husband. You disgraced this family and everything we taught you. You don't get to stay here. How could you do this, Chloe?" Susan asked through her tears. "How could you be so cruel?" "Mom, please, you have to understand," Chloe pleaded. "You heard your father," Susan replied. "Pack your things." Chloe tried to argue, tried to explain, tried to manipulate the situation the way she'd manipulated me for months. But Brian and Susan had seen the evidence. There was no spin in the world that could make adultery look like anything other than what it was. They gave her 2 hours. She left with a single suitcase and a cracked phone screen. No money, no plan, no support system. She ended up at a budget motel on the edge of town, paying with a credit card that was nearly maxed out. She tried calling Derek. His number had been disconnected. She tried calling old friends. None of them answered once word got around about what she'd done. I heard all of this through the neighborhood network that exists in small communities. People talk, especially when someone's fall from grace is as spectacular as Chloe's had been. Her humiliation was public, absolute, and permanent. 62 days later, the divorce was finalized. I kept everything. Chloe received exactly $200, the token settlement Margaret had predicted. She didn't contest anything. Her court-appointed attorney advised her that fighting would be financial suicide. I never saw her again after that night. I threw her out. I heard she eventually moved to another state, but I didn't care enough to find out where. The divorce decree was signed on a crisp autumn morning. I walked out of the courthouse into bright sunlight, breathing free air for the first time in what felt like years. For the first time since this nightmare began, I smiled. 6 months after the divorce papers were signed, I sit on my back porch on a Sunday evening, beer in hand, watching the sunset paint the sky in shades of orange and purple that seem more vivid than they used to. The house is quiet, my house, fully and completely mine in every way that matters. I've redecorated entirely. New sheets that have never touched another man's skin. New furniture in the bedroom, where I no longer see ghosts of betrayal. Fresh paint in the living room, a color Chloe would have hated. I've erased every trace of her, not out of bitterness, but out of necessity. This is my space now, my sanctuary, free from the contamination of lies and false promises. Mark and Tom show up unannounced, carrying a 6-pack of beer like it's the most natural thing in the world. They don't ask permission anymore, they never do. They just appear when they sense I might need company the way real friends do. "How you holding up, man?" Mark asks, handing me a cold bottle that beads with condensation in the warm evening air. "Good," I reply. And for the first time in months, I actually mean it. "Heard through the grapevine that Chloe's working at some diner 2 towns over," Tom says, cracking open his beer and leaning against the porch railing. "Living in a studio apartment above a gas station," I nod. "I'd heard the same rumors. The strange thing is, I feel nothing when I think about her. No anger, no sadness, no satisfaction at her downfall. Just nothing. It's as if she was a character in a book I read once and barely remember." "Derek's still gone," Mark adds. "Someone said he moved to another state entirely. Changed his number, stays off social media, keeps his head down." "Good." I answer simply. Some problems solve themselves when you handle them decisively. We drink in comfortable silence, watching the sky darken and the first stars begin to appear. There's something peaceful about these moments. Three men who've been through different kinds of battles, sitting together without needing to fill the air with meaningless conversation. To new beginnings, Tom says, raising his bottle. We clink bottles in a toast that feels more significant than the words might suggest. I look around my backyard, the fence I built with my own hands. The garden I started last month, the life I'm reclaiming one small piece at a time. The vegetables are coming in nicely. I might even get some tomatoes before the first frost. I didn't just survive betrayal. I walked through fire and came out forged instead of broken. Stronger in the places where I was once weak. Wiser about the nature of people and the masks they wear. The evening breeze carries the scent of jasmine from the neighbor's yard, and I realize something profound. I'm not just free from Chloe and her lies. I'm free to become whoever I want to be now, free to trust again when I'm ready, free to love again if the right person comes along. But for now, I'm content with this, the peace of my own space, the loyalty of true friends, and the quiet satisfaction of a man who refused to be destroyed by someone else's cruelty. I take another sip of beer, feel the cool evening air on my face, and know with absolute certainty that I made the right choice. The house still stands, and so do I. The perfect lie is over. The imperfect truth begins now.